6th annual Martin Luther King celebration at the Roosevelt Public Library. We started out 6 years ago, we were very small, and now we've grown to over 125 people, so I think it's great. Out of that period of 55 to 68, there were so many battles that were won, so many barriers that were knocked over. And after King passed away, not too many barriers have been knocked over. And we're still clinging on to those things that happened in the civil rights movement. And I think that's why the kids are so important, because they have new ideas and new vision. I'm hoping that the Roosevelt Public Library, with the leadership that we have here, keep that legacy going.
This event and the event that will be happening on Saturday the 18th is an event that helps people to understand the transition of where we were to where we are now, and hopefully where we could be in the future.
Shackles bound and unchained, hope, dreams, and the future all detained. Yet the caged bird sings for the freedom of life. Yet a dream deferred blocks his voice from reaching out.
And who taught you? Why is it a big deal to you?
Equality or the holiday?
Or the awareness of your history?
All right, Mr. Aaron, think of it like this. Let's say, as a person, you did not know your history. How would you feel?
I wouldn't know who I am.
You wouldn't know who you are. That's what's important. So we could have a basic understanding of who we are. So we could have a basic understanding of belonging, the feeling of belonging that everybody loves. If you don't feel like you belong, then, you can't really succeed in life.
And I feel like, a lot of African American children, like my generation, I feel like they're kind of moving away from all of the segregation, the slavery, all of that. I feel like they're not really learning as much about it. Like, we don't know as much about it as we should know. And I feel like it's great that, the library, we get to come here and we get to learn more about it. And I think that more students should come and learn more about it, learn about their history.
I attended the school district of Malvern, and I remember as a child that while I was sitting in class, there were parents outside basically picketing because there were Negro children inside going to class, and they had signs that said, "Niggas go home." It was through that my character, my strength, and the legacy of just understanding my culture was born. I'm always inspired by the path that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. has lit for us to follow.
Dr. King had high standards for social justice and political activism. Dr. King was not just a great orator, was not just a preacher, but he understood that in order to change a nation, you must first affect change among the people. And in order to do that, you must affect public policy. If you're going to be a freedom fighter, if you're going to fight for liberation and freedom, not only do you got to make your voice heard in the street, but you got to make your voice heard at the table. But I must be honest with you today, that if you don't speak truth today, and if you don't speak against the justice and inequality, you do nothing to celebrate the life of Dr. King.
Part of his legacy is that he was always able to embrace and always able to forgive. That's what they say about Nelson Mandela, that Nelson Mandela was able to forgive. And Nelson Mandela was able to forgive. And they say that is what is heroic about Mandela, that is what is heroic about Dr. King, the compassion they had and their ability to love their enemy. That's not what was heroic about either one of those brothers. What was heroic was that they were uncompromising, that they were courageous, that they could not be defeated, that they challenged you to stand up and fight back, that they would not accept racism.
Because of our struggle and because of the freedom fight, we need to tell generations yet to come about our story. Because once they have an identity of who they are and what has been sacrificed for them, it makes them not only look at themselves differently, but it makes them look at the greater society different. We have one of the greatest stories of freedom and liberation that has ever been told, and so certainly we want to continue to pass our story down from generation to generation, that our children and our children's children may understand from whence we've come.
If we don't know our history, if we don't acknowledge our achievements, and our failures, we are condemned in the future to commit those failures over and over and over again. American history is rich. We have not always done the right thing, but we have always struggled to do the right thing. And part and parcel of our American heritage is that we do fight for what's right, and we continue to fight for what's right. It's one of the reasons that I'm so honored and pleased to be here this evening.
Before we run out of time, we need to change our community. Because every night you turn on the news, you see foolery, pastors giving eulogies, all because of love of guns, drugs, and jewelry. We need to change our morals and values back to the way they used to be. I need to change. You need to change.
Where there's symmetry between our words and our actions, because right now it seems like our words are support for the mass distraction. And action needs to be changed to inaction. Passive, no more passing by the vagrants knocking on society's door. Our individuality is defeating. Contemporary dreams, schemes servicing one. We've got more than enough resources, yet we continue to hoard what's left of our love. I need to change. You need to change. We need to change.
These young people said we need to change. You need to change. I need to change. We need to change. That's what they said. Change is necessary. Sam Cooke said that a change is going to come. You know, we are aware of the importance and the need for change, but change does not break out like the measles. Change just doesn't happen. You don't catch change. You've got to do the work to make change happen. We need to change, but we also need to be committed to do the work to make the change, and we need to be clear what kind of changes we want. We need to be clear what kind of a society we want as we move forward.
As I lay me down, heaven hear me now. I'm lost without a cause, after giving it my all. Winter storms have come and darkened my sun. After all that I've been through, who on earth can I turn to? I look to you. I look to you. After all my strength is gone, in you I can be strong. I look to you.
We're involved in a war. We're involved in a war for the hearts and minds of our people. When you're in a war, you need weapons. If you're in a war, you need bombs. You need bullets, right? You need tanks. You need surface-to-air missiles. That's the kind of poetry you have to write. You got to write bullet poems. You got to write tank poems. You got to write surface-to-air missile poems. You've got to be involved. You've got to fight back. We are involved in a struggle for the minds of our people, and the enemies of our people are using every weapon they can to destroy our minds. If you're going to write back, you've got to come with what we need.
The thing with ideas is that they can't be killed. They can only be shattered into tiny pieces and scattered all over the world. A famous man once said, "I have a dream today, and although kings lose their crowns, their dreams don't lose their sovereignty." God spoke to me. She said, "See." So I saw that for all the world's suffering, there are moments scattered in between that last so much longer. That a person's soul is worth more wealth than the world could muster up and squander. When a hand reaches for another in a gesture of compassion, it reaches across the rations of time to unite distant sisters and brothers. I have seen the best of mankind exemplified in times of need, but when all is in its place, we turn our face to greed. While there are mouths to feed and children to clothe and plenty to go around, the wealthy with walk-in pantries and closets sigh and ask us, how? You see, life is much more beautiful than the strife it often seems. We're sleep deprived, but if we open our eyes, we'll find the answers lie in our dreams. Because today, I woke up to a mushroom cloud, and the sound of all my dreams exploding. Now all I can do is wait for the fallout and pray that these dreams are deemed worth holding. All right. Thank you.
Too many of our people put their heads in the sand, but you must understand, you better read your newspaper. You better learn to go to the board meeting. You better understand what they're doing while you home sleep. You need to know why they're having meetings while you're at work and you can't get there, because they don't want you there. But the real fighters for justice and equality can't sit back while others hold us by our neck, take our freedom away from us, take our equality away from us, and use us as though we are objects rather than the wonderful creation that God has made us to be.
We are the best educated, the wealthiest, the greatest experienced black people collectively anywhere in the world. If we use what we have, if we use the talent, the energy, the training, the money, if we use it intelligently, if we use it strategically, we can influence policy in this society and make the dream of Langston Hughes a reality, to make the dream of Martin King a reality. We are the people who have always had the dream for what America should be. We are the people who always had the dream for what America could be. And America does not move forward and make progress unless you move it forward. You have always been the moral conscience of this country. If you sit down, America goes into decline. You have to stand up, push back, fight back, because the future of this country is in your hands.